session of day 4. With pleasure, I would like to invite Dr. Pooja Jain, Assistant Professor, Indian Institute of Technology, Nagpur. And today, ma'am will discuss about natural language processing using machine learning. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. I'm very much thankful to the entire SKIT and the faculty members for giving me this opportunity to be in interaction with the faculty members and be a part of this important FTP. Thank you so much. Pankaj sir, shall I start? Okay.
Yes, ma'am, you can start.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Sushila ma'am and Pankaj sir, and thank you, Neha ma'am, for again giving me the chance, and a very good afternoon to all the participants of the faculty development program. So my session is on natural language processing. So first of all, let me share the screen, and then we'll have a small introduction on why NLP and what is its importance. First of all, what is natural language? A language that naturally is known as natural language. Now, which is a language that comes to us naturally is that language which we start speaking from birth. Okay, so a 3-year-old child is able to understand what his parents are saying, isn't it? A 4-month-old, a 5th-month-old child is able to speak some words, mama, papa, and so on. But that is language in which he is living. Whatever the language you're saying is basically your natural language, because it is coming to you naturally. You don't have to study that particular language. Clear? So for me, like suppose I am from the UP belt, so for me Hindi is my natural language. People who are from Maharashtra, Marathi is the natural language. From Uriya, Tamil, Telugu, or English, or French, Spanish, these are all people who have been brought up from. Now, what is the meaning of processing? Processing stands for the word in which we want our computer to understand what we say. Okay, a very widely used example is Alexa or Siri. So whatever you say, the computer or the mobile or the system is able to understand that and perform your advices, suggestions, or orders. Okay, so I want my computer to understand whatever I say, or I can say I want a system to behave in the same way as humans do. So basically, what we are to do is, what is machine learning? Now, since you have, this is the 3rd session, so you must have already gone through the topics of machine learning and AI. And in fact, I attended the session for Dr. Debashish also, and he was talking about the different machine learning aspects. What is machine learning? Basically, making the machine learn certain things and behave in the same way as human beings do. Okay, so when I want a machine to behave in this, then it has to also communicate. If it has to communicate, that means it has to process the language which we are speaking. And what is the language that we are speaking is the natural language. Okay, so here comes the concept of natural language processing. So if you want to have a robot which is doing whatever you are saying, then definitely you will have to go for NLP. Okay, robot is incomplete without NLP, or machine learning systems which are behaving in the same way as humans do is incomplete without NLP. Okay, so I won't say NLP is a part of ML or ML is a part of NLP, but I can say that NLP is an application of ML. So this you must have already seen, that is AI, artificial intelligence. This is ML, subset of AI. This is deep learning, subset of ML. And then I can say this is NLP, which is not a subset of AI or a subset of ML or a subset of TL. It is just an application of ML and AI. Why? Because ML is I want the system to behave in the same way as humans do, and humans communicate, so machines also need to communicate. So that is why NLP comes into the picture. And most importantly, nowadays when the data has become so huge, so vast, so domain across different domains, so we need to have the machine learning algorithms to to solve our tasks of natural language processing. Okay, since the data has become so huge, so that is why we say the NLP tasks nowadays are done with the help of machine learning algorithms, because the data is so huge, and ML operates only on the huge data. If the data is small, there is no point in having ML at all. Okay, so I think now you got an idea what is natural language processing. So AI has a lot of areas on which it works, and ML. So we say NLP is related to AI, not exactly to ML, because ML is a subset of AI, as I told you. So if I am applying any artificial intelligence techniques to my NLP system, so that is AI. Not necessarily it may include an ML also. But as I mentioned, the data is so huge, so we do apply ML techniques also. So natural language processing involves information retrieval, information extraction, sentiment analysis, question answering, machine translation, and so many things. This is what I was trying to tell you. NLP is not a subset or a superset. It is basically involves the different algorithms being used with ML and DL. Okay, and these are all research fields in which you can work upon. I particularly chose this topic for this faculty development program because most of the faculty who are attending this program are non PhDs, or they are looking for a good research area, and NLP can be one of the research areas on which you can work. A lot of work has already been done, and much lot to be done in the future as well, because a lot of things needs to be done which has not been done earlier. And most importantly, um, a lot of work has been done in English, but not in any other regional languages of India. Some you can say for Hindi also, but very few has been done for Malayalam, Telugu, Kannada, and so on. So there is a huge field in which you can work upon if you do not belong, because we as Indians have not worked much upon the NLP field, but English, that is UK, US, and other parts of the world definitely worked a lot on NLP, and that is why we have come up with such huge, advanced robots. Because robots are incomplete without NLP. You must have seen that movie Robot by Rajnikant. So just imagine if he's not able to understand what I'm trying to say, that is, a communication is not like this, then imagine what he will do. Okay, so these are different research fields on which you can work upon: information retrieval, machine translation. Machine translation is you have a source language and you have a destination language, and you want to convert your English to Hindi, or English to French, or Spanish to Italian, and so on. Information extraction is actually extracting the knowledge which you actually need. And information retrieval is a actually information retrieval is a word is a coined word used in 2000s, early 2000s, or you can say 1995 and so on. But nowadays we don't talk about information retrieval, but we now talk about knowledge retrieval, because knowledge is something which database to the information. If you ask me what is the difference between data, information, and knowledge, is data is raw data, information is the processed data, and knowledge is this processed data is combined with database or with the backend data to come up with certain inferences, certain decisions that you can do, that you can make on the basis of the analysis and the design of the data at the backend. We're inferring something, you are making some decisions. So you can say decision support systems do use the knowledge which is at the back end. Sentiment analysis: positive, negative, and neutral. This is the sentiment, or he is very angry, or he's very sad, or it is very excited. So all these sentiments can be retrieved from a large number of text, a large number of data. Okay. So for NLP, the input can be, for NLP, the input or the output can be two. Either it can be text or it can be speech. And we can do a translation between these two also, text to text. And any task of any NLP system, any NLP system may have one input and will have one output, and this input can be text or speech, and output can be text or speech, whatever. Because and it's language, and language is a mode of communication. So mode of communication can be either through speech or through text. Correct. Question answering systems. You ask a question and you get an answer. At times it feels very easy, but it's not, because if suppose you are very proficient with Bollywood, suppose I ask you what is who is Shah Rukh Khan, what which was the first movie of Shah Rukh Khan, which is the and the different details, so probably you would be able to answer because you are more proficient with Bollywood. Now if I ask you some questions on Hollywood, then probably you will not be able to answer me those questions. Domain has changed. In fact, the domain remains the same, but but you can say the phase of the information has changed. But if some question on geography, then probably you will not be able to answer anything. Correct, because but it has altogether changed. You were more focused on Hollywood and Bollywood, but you were not focused on geography. Okay, so that's the question answering system is generally what here is domain specific. Even in an Alexa, if you ask a question which is not fed into it, then it is not able to answer you that question. So we would say a lot of work needs to be done, and still these are open research problems. So my dream is basically whatever I say and the computer is able to do that. But there are certain challenges which are involved. So it is also known as a computer linguistics because we are able to understand the language. I'll skip that. So these are the certain application. The modern applications is, as I told you, Apple Siri, Translate, Alexa, and IBM has come up with a very good software, which is IBM Watson. If you want, you can just search for it. And Tanmay Bakshi is a person. Tanmay Bakshi is a 18-year-old child, Indian born, settled in US. Tanmay Bakshi, and he was when he was just 13 years of age, and he used to work on IBM Watson. He has been employed by Google, IBM, and everywhere, and he is working really very much in NLP and ML fields. So NLP is used in a lot of fields, in machine learning, in logic, in vision, in robotics, as I told you, expert systems, image representation, search, a lot of fields. As I told you, if you involve speech or text in any of, if you involve the processing of speech or text, NLP is there. Okay, so basically two goals of NLP: the science goal and the engineering goal. The science goal concentrates more towards the biological part, cognitive science, that we are able to retrieve the how we sense the information, how we take how we understand the language and so on. So that is the more towards the biological part. But engineering goal is the analysis and the generation of the language. We call about natural language generation or natural language understanding. So we do the analysis of the language, how the words are formed, how the sentences are formed, and what are the challenges in understanding those sentences, etc., etc. So now we come to the crux of the problem. What is the problem? Now, till now we have understood that what is NLP and why do we need it. But I mean getting it done. Well, it seems so simple. It seems so simple that I say and the computer performs it. So there is a channel between me and the computer, and whatever I say, the computer is doing the same. So what is the problem in it? The problem is the ambiguity. Because English or any language for that matter has a lot of ambiguities understanding the language and speaking the language. So if you say the grammar is there, protocols are there, so why there is an ambiguity? One sentence can be said in a number of meaning the same, or there can be one sentence having different meanings. So many a times you have a fight with anyone and you say there was a communication gap. Why is it a communication gap? You say something and the person is able to understand, and there is only one single meaning of that sentence. Then where is a communication gap? because there are different meanings which are inferred from the same sentence. Depending upon the upper the complete discussion, depending upon the complete discussion, or depending upon the scenario in which you are uttering that particular sentence, it may have different meanings. Go there. Go then can be polite also, and it can be angry also. So what is the way? How are you going to identify which is behind it, and also how can you infer what is the next sentence? Humans are very intelligent. Humans have a lot of common sense, so they can infer the things, but machines are not. And I want a machine to behave the same way as humans do. So in that case, some of the research problems that you need to tackle. What is the inference? Can if I suppose say, I opened the computer. What can be my next sentence? I started coding. Correct. Or I went to the market. What is the next inference sentence? I bought apples from the market. That can be one of the second sentence of the sentence. So I was just looking 10 minutes back. This is a very, very recent research problem in which the system is trying to infer what can be possibly your next sentence. And to make it complicated, I said I went to the market and I brought some apples. Okay. Now these apples can be replaced with anything. I can buy grapes, I can buy mangoes, I can buy bananas, or I can buy some other thing, not fruits and vegetables, but I can buy something else. I can buy a bag, I can buy a mobile. Okay? So the things have been complicated even more. And add intelligence to a lot of things. If suppose it's December, it's January, so there are very few chances of getting mango. So I will delete the option of mango. Intelligence which I need to have in my machine. Correct? So those people who are from computer science background would be able to appreciate this. We are trying to what is compiler design? Compiler design is basically making the programming language understood by the computer. Correct? So if I have any programming language, suppose it is Java, and I have written a sentence as hash. Sorry, there won't be any hash. It would be import. Suppose I am taking it for C++, okay? And I write cout, hello world, colon, hello. I have just written hello, like this. And there is a semicolon at the end. So how is my machine able to understand the sentence? So it will involve a lot of steps of the compiler. The compiler is able to first convert it into zeros and ones. And these zeros and ones would be then executed, and I would get hello to be printed on the screen. So what does it involve? It involves lexical analysis, syntactic analysis, semantic analysis, and then they handle the DLL file and the exe file are created, and the OBJ files and the exe files are created. And when I run this exe file, I'm able to print hello on the screen. So these are the steps which are involved. What actually I was trying to do is making the system understand a programming language. What I'm doing in the case of NLP, the same thing, making the system understand my language, which is what, my natural language, which is English, or I can say Hindi. Understand my language. Yeah. So if I'm making the system understand some language, it will have to go through these steps, the same phases as we do have in compiler design. But since we are talking about speech also, so phonetics come into the picture. And we are talking about text, so morphology comes into the picture. And these phases, same as we do pragmatics and discourse, are also there, but this is more towards the processing of a language. Okay? But these three steps are exactly the same as we do it in compilers. Okay, what is phonetics? This is what we hear. So when there is a 2-year-old kid and he starts going to the school, the first thing that is taught to him is ABCD. And for ABCD, it has been told that A stands for B stands for burr. He has to hear that. B stands for burr. So if there is any word starts from burr, then definitely the spelling has to from B, like bear. So the spelling will start from B. Bangalore, the spelling will start from B. That is why you are able to identify the spellings. Phonetics. A stands for B stands for burr, C stands for cur, D stands for der, and so on. That is phonetics. Morphology. What are the different forms of the word? So morphology can be, if suppose start, different forms of the word start. The start says starts, started, starting, and so on. This is on the basis of the tense. There can be different. There can be different also in base gender, like gender, or I can say plural, boy, boys. What? How I have changed the word by just simply adding s. So the basic word remains the same, boy. I have been changed to boys. Then girl, girls. I have just added a s to it, and I have changed the plural. The meaning remains the same. Similarly, started, starting. The meaning remains the same, but the meaning change also. Like suppose I have the word star, and I write a t at the end. And I write the t at the end. The meaning of the word has changed by simply adding a letter. तुमने Scrabble खेला होगा. Scrabble goes with the same thing. That if suppose somebody has written, has formed a word star, I will write a T there and get the entire points of the complete word, isn't it? So how to modify the words which are there in the dictionary to have different meanings or have to have same meanings? Now it is not possible to have all the different forms of start in the dictionary. Started, starting. If I start doing it, then my dictionary would be not this, but would be very, very. Earlier in my earlier days, in my school days, I used to carry the dictionary always in my bag. It was necessary because in English period, we were always told to have 5 different words from the dictionary every day. So dictionary was necessary. तो अगर वो इतनी बड़ी होती तो हम कभी carry भी नहीं कर सकते थे because it will have only one word as start. The rest of the changes, the rest of the forms of the word need to be understood by me. Start, started, starting. Now I want this to machine understand that. That is morphology. Lexical analysis. Parts of speech tagging. You can talk it. Lexical analysis is this particular word is a noun or a verb or something like that. Syntactic analysis. Is my syntax correct? Grammar. Semantic analysis. Is the meaning of the sentence getting me clear? Pragmatics analysis is pronouns basically. So if I say Pooja is going to the market, she will bring apple. What is this she? Pooja. So I'll have to have some mapping of the words. That is pragmatics. And discourse is common sense. The common sense which humans have a lot, but the machines don't have. So I have you the of each and every phase. Now, what is the problem that I have to tackle is I'm going to talk about next. That what are the problems in phonetics? What are the problems in morphology? That are the different research areas which you can work upon. I have a session tomorrow also in the morning, and there I would give you the hands-on of NLP on Python and tell you that how we actually do it. So, what is the challenges in homophones? Homophones is a very big challenge. In this case, I have taken an example of bank, but let's take another example as bear, which has different spellings also. So I can I can have different spellings. In this case, homophones bank is being referred to as a financial bank or a river bank. From the sentence, I need to identify that I'm talking about a financial bank or a river bank. That I have to identify. Okay. And a bear will have a different spelling altogether, whether it is B-A-R-E or B-E-A-R. So if it is speech to text, so I have to identify that I'm talking about a bear or I'm talking about a animal. Okay. So if suppose I say a sentence, I have bear enough, then I'm talking about B-A-R-E. Or I went out with barefoot. Barefoot, that is, I was not wearing any. So in this case, probably it is BARE. I went to the jungle and I saw a bear. Here I'm talking about BEAR and not BARE. So from the context of the sentence, you should be able to identify that I'm talking about which bear. In Hindi, choti e ki matra and badi e ki matra has been a problem till date to me. I'm not able to this word will have choti e ki matra or badi e ki matra. So that is a big problem. Now word boundaries also need to be understood very about speech to text. Like आ जाएंगे, आज आ जाएंगे, आ जाएंगे, आ जाएंगे. So if I'm like people like me who speak so fast, it is actually impossible to identify that I'm trying to say आ जाएंगे कि आज आएंगे. ठीक है? So I need to identify the boundary. But if I say the complete sentence, आज आएंगे और खाना खा लेंगे. ठीक है? तो आज 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 आए और खाना खा लेंगे. तो I will come and have the dinner. और हम लोग आज आएंगे, कल नहीं आएंगे. In that case, आज आएंगे. I will come today, I will not. So from the context of the sentence, it can be identified. Then a very good example is I got a plate. I got up late. I got a plate. If the complete sentence is there, which I was not able to attend the class. Of course, I'm talking about I got up late. I got a plate for the dinner. I got a plate for the dinner. So from the context, I was able to identify the boundaries. Disfluency. This contains a lot of problems. When we are not able to get the word in the brain, then we start speaking. So this also needs to be tackled. Natural language processing involves all these things. So this is a challenge. Then we are talking about morphology. Morphology is having different forms. That is, as I mentioned, boys, I have changed the plural form of the word, or if I'm change the gender to Zar Zarina. This is in German. That is Zar Zarina, and so we need to find root word of the word. So what should be the root word after changing its different forms? Like suppose as I gave you an example of started or starting. So if I say start is a root word of this form is start. So if I say the word starting, so start is the base form of the word. What we are supposed to do is find out the base form for the words. Starting, started, starts. So I have to come to the base form. There should be some way of doing it. CFG, you are already aware of it. That is a context-free grammars and regular expressions. So this regular expressions and context-free grammars as a solution to this problem. So you must be already aware, like suppose you must be already aware that if I am going for a FSA to be made, so I do it like this: first letter, second letter, third letter, and then I can reach the final. Like suppose this is my initial state. This is my state number 1, state 2, state 3, state 4, and state 5 is my final. So I get a C, I come to the state 2, I get a A, into the state 3. I take here as the final state. This as the final state. And I get a T and I reach the final state. CAT, I was able to reach to the final state. So this is my base form. This is my correct form. Correct. Now suppose after C, something like Z. So in this case, I'll say it is not a correct word. CAZ doesn't stand for anything. It is not a correct word. Correct. But if I get CAT, I will end up in a state because end state means this word is acceptable. Okay, we can accept this word. But CAZ is not acceptable since this is not a final state. So this is one way of finding out that a word or not. Or we are talking about the base form of the word. Correct. Like I gave you an example of starts. So S, if I come to S, this is the first phase, this is the second state. S, E, A, R, this is my final. Oh, sorry, not now. Final. And then I'll reach the final state after T. After I get a T, start. This is my final word. Now after I can have E and D. I get a E and I get a D and I reach a final state. So there would be one final state and two final states. Correct. So I can have that system in which I can have more than one final states, but there can be different variations of it. So start is also a final state, started is also a final state, and here I can have one more like ing and then also final state. Understood? खोच हो गया और फिर से इसको एक बार देख लेते हैं S. This is my initial state. I get a S, then I get a T, A, R, and T. This is my final state. S, T, A, T. After this, I have one more state, and I say I get a E, D, and this is also a final state. Here I can have one more I, N, G, and this is my final state. N, G. This will come to know that okay, start is my actual word or it is my base form, and then after that I can have a started also and starting also. Okay, so this concept is the same as we have done it in theory of computations or compiler design. The same way, that is how we are able to identify that this is correct, and if we this is a correct word, and we can extend it further to find out the sentence, whether the sentence is correct or not. Like suppose I say I am, let me remove all this first. I say I am going. This is my correct sentence. As per the grammar, it is absolute. But if I say going am, so in this case, I can form a rule saying that a pronoun should be followed by a modal verb. If there is no modal verb, whatever. If the pronoun is not followed by a verb or a modal verb, then definitely it is not a sentence. Modal word, not a verb. This is going is also a word. So a verb should be there, am. Or I can say I should always be followed by am. So any of this such type of, yeah, suppose if I say she is going, so there should be a modal after she. After pronoun, there should always be a modal word. There cannot be a verb after that. Or the noun should always be followed by a modal word. Something like this. So I can form certain grammar rules, and these grammatical rules are already there for English. But yes, so this is nothing but the data set, the data that we have. And on the basis of this data, I'm going to find out whether I am writing it correctly or not. So grammatical rules can be very well done, and this is all done in the case of lexical analysis and syntactic analysis. We talk about the different phases, the lexical analysis, syntactic analysis. So if you say these three phases are interconnected to each other. In the case of morphology, actually we are going for spelling corrections. That is whether the spelling of the word is correct or not, as I told you, start. If start is ending into a state, then it is a correct word. Correct. So morphology basically talks about the correct words, the spelling corrections. And lexical analysis and syntactic analysis talk about the syntax of the sentence. And the syntax of the sentence will also involve the parts of speech tagging. We'll see that. So morphology is finding out these words. So I need to find out the affixes. What are affixes? Can be prefix, suffix, circumfix. All these things needs to be tackled, and I have to have a separate database for it. It is not possible that the dictionary involves all the different forms of the word. Then the dictionary would be very huge. So just to avoid that, we can have a separate a dictionary which can contain all the affixes. Like suppose if I say cut, cut cannot have any affix. Cutted, cutting, cut. It can be only cuts. It can have only cuts, but it cutting, cutted, cut. Yeah, whatever the past tense or the future tense or the present tense for it. So if in grammar you must have already heard that cut, cut, cut. We write it cut, cut. Start, started, starting. We say it like this. And for cut, we say cut, 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 because there is no past tense for cut. Cut will remain as cut. So such exceptions also need to be handled properly. Exception should also be written properly. Exceptions are not there, NLP will have a lot of ambiguities. Okay. So CAD. Now another that needs to be handled is child and children. Childs is not a correct word. It's children. Then secondly, we generally add un for having a prefix. Happy, unhappy, do, undo. But un is not a prefix. So these are the challenges that needs to be tackled. So even if you're writing exceptions, so just imagine the number of exceptions that you're going to write. It would be very, very large, and it is not to have all the exceptions there. There would be some places in which you will have to apply your intelligence or the intelligence of the machine by adding AI to it. Okay? So in the case of lexical analysis, when we are writing the word, we also give its properties. It is being used as a noun. It can have s as a plural. It is a semantic property that it is an animal. It's four-legged. It is carnivorous, and so on. Because this is all required. If you parts of speech tagging is a very nice field in which you can work upon, in which we give this the part. Like I give you an example like this. She bagged 2 silver medals. Now silver is being used as different parts of speech, and this your kids must be doing it in class 6th, 7th, and 8th. They are given that question. Just give me 2 minutes. In class 6th, they are given this assignment in which you have to use a word in different parts of speech. Like use this word as a noun, use this word as an adjective, or use this word as a verb. So many a times you are given this task, and the students have to write a word being used as a noun or a verb or an adjective. But if I want my system to do it, it's a big problem. You see here, she bagged 2 silver medals. This silver is being used as an adjective. She made a silver speech. So if speech is considered to be verb, then this is an adverb. If speech is to be noun, then silver is adjective. So even in this, it has so much of ambiguity. His worries had silvered his hair. Now this is definitely a verb. Word his hair. So in some of the cases, you may not even believe that they can be used in such forms. Like dog can be used as a noun, as a verb, as an adjective. So it's really very ambiguous. So we can understand the things, but how we make a machine to understand that, it's a problem. Lexical category disambiguation, it's parts of speech tagging. We need to do that. As I told you, dog. And we also need to form the relationship in the context. Like if you see, the chair emphasized the need for faculty interactions. Now, who is this chair? Chair cannot be non-living thing here because a verb is followed by it. Since emphasized is a word, that means he's saying something. Now, a non-living thing cannot say it. So if I give this sentence to you, the chair emphasized the need for faculty interactions. Definitely you will understand that, okay, there is a person who is being treated as a chairperson. Okay, but how to make the machine understand this? It's a problem. Then you must there is a sentence which is commonly used in most of the NLP explanations is buffalo, 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 buffalo. This is 5 times. So the same word is being used by different senses. Sometimes it is, at one point of time, it is an animal. Second point of time, it is buffalo. Second time, it is the place. Then sometimes it is a verb. Like this, it is being used. So watch what you want when you want. So watch what you want when you want. Two senses of watch. Sanskrit is a very language in such cases. Sanskrit is has the least number of ambiguities. So that is why most of the robots and artificial intelligence but computers operate on Sanskrit, because Sanskrit is very beautiful in such cases. Those who have already gone through Sanskrit would be able to appreciate that. In Sanskrit, there is a fixed 8 parts of speech. से के द्वारा संप्रदान के लिए अपादान से संबंध का के की रारे री अधिकरण में पर संबोधन हे हरे. Remember or not? You must have remembered it. I think I cannot see the chat box. I think the attendees are not they
Ma'am,
cannot
there
put
is
it onto the
no,
chat box.
ma'am, there is
Yes.
no any query on chat box.
Okay, fine. So all must have gone through this in their Sanskrit lessons. Karta ne karam ko. Suppose if I have taken a sentence as Ram ne Ravan ko mara. Suppose this is a sentence. Ram ne Ravan ko mara. So Ram ne karta ne. Ram becomes karta. Since Ram is karta, then and Ram is noun. Karta ne. Ram is a noun. So I will go to the balak ka roop. Balkah, balko, balkah. Remember? So balakah, Ramah. There is no other ambiguity in this. There cannot be any other form from this. राम ने है तो कर्ता ही होगा और बालकः का ही रूप लगेगा और राम ही होगा. There is no. रावण को, कर्ता ने, करम को. दूसरी विभक्ति तो बालकः, बालको, बालकः, बालकम. Since it is singular, so it will be balkam. So Ramah, Ravanam. Fixed. No other rule. इसमें कोई changes नहीं होंगे. आप कुछ और करो, हम कुछ और करो, not possible. But in English, you will find this a many number of times. Many number of times. Like suppose if I say Ravan ko Ram ne mara. In this case, your subject has changed or the predicate has changed, and Hindi can be written as Ravan ne bhi Ram ne mara. If you're going for Sanskrit, there would be only one single translation. Ravanam Ravana, Ravanam Ramah. ये दोनों ही आएंगे. फिर मारा is a verb. So पटका उसमें पटती, पटता, पटंती, पटसी, पटता, पटत, पठामी, पठाव, पठामा. Now we are talking about I think उत्तम पुरुष, ना, मध्यम पुरुष, उत्तम पुरुष, और एक और होता है. That is person and the third person. And we are talking about the third person, which is the first line. I remember it like this. The third person is the first line. So patati patata patanti. So Ramah Ravanam marati. जो होता है मारने का, जो भी संस्कृत ट्रांसलेशन होता हो वो. तो अब what will I do is word to word translation. मारा in हिंदी का संस्कृत ट्रांसलेशन ले लेंगे और फिर पट के रूप से उसको निकाल दें. या राम पढ़ता है, अगर हम इस तरह से करते हैं, राम पढ़ता है तो राम बिकम्स करता, तो रामः पढ़ता है पठति, रामः पठति. इजी. आप उसका संस्कृत ट्रांसलेशन ले लो और उसको पट के रूप में निकाल. So this is so easy. There is no ambiguity in finding out the sense. But in Hindi and English, same word can be used with so many number of parts of speech that it creates a lot of ambiguities. Clear? Syntactic ambiguity. Now, what is the syntactic ambiguity? What is syntax? Syntax is, let's say I told you, I am going. It cannot be I going am. There is a particular syntax for it. Okay, so that is actually possible. हम एक बार grammatical rules अगर हम तो वो चीज हम टैकल कर सकते हैं. आई एम गोइंग, तो हमारे पास एक रूल है कि देयर शुड बी अ मॉडल वर्ड आफ्टर प्रोनाउन, या फिर एक वर्ब होना चाहिए आफ्टर अ नाउन. जो भी हमने जो भी रूल्स लिखे उसके हिसाब से हमने कर दिया. Was a book, Wren and Martin, this very very thick book, Wren and Martin, which you must have studied in your grammar. तो अगर आपने उसको घोट लिया, रख लिया, लर्न कर लिया, the things become easy for you. You know grammar, and you can write your English sentences and speak your English sentences. What is the ambiguity there? Ambiguity is finding out the meaning of the sentence. Like suppose if I give you an example, old men and women were taken to safe locations. So this old is related to this, or it is related to both. Scope, what is the scope of this word? Old men. So the scope says either it is old men or it is old men and women. There is a bracket here. So both men and women are old, or the men is only old. There is a problem. I need to understand that. The syntax is absolutely correct. As I told you, finding out the syntactical problem is easy. If the rules of the grammar are mentioned, then it is easy to identify that whether this particular sentence is following the grammar or not. But what about these types of ambiguities? These need to be tackled through some research, some solutions. Men and women were both old and were taken to safe locations. Attachment ambiguity. Man saw the girl with the telescope. Now, this telescope is with the girl or it is with the man? The man saw this girl and the girl was carrying a telescope, or the man was carrying a telescope and he saw the girl. Now, add more problem to this. On the hill. ये ऐसा क्यों लिख जाता है पता नहीं. On the hill. Now tell me, man is on the hill with the telescope and he saw the girl. Man is on the hill and he saw the girl who was having a telescope. So many permutations and combinations. The man saw the hill, she was on the hill having a telescope. The man was having the telescope and he saw the girl and she was having the telescope. So many things. And you add more and more to it, more permutations and combinations will have. So, which word is related to what needs to be taken care of? And what is the solution to this? Is having the complete sense of the sentence. What was before, what is after than that. The context to reference. आप लोग ने बचपन में देखा होगा, what is a reference to context for this? This reference to context needs to be understood. White book and Martin is fascinating. Jurafsky and Martin has written a book on natural language processing, and those people who really want to dig into this subject need to study this book, Jurafsky and Martin. And this NLP can be taken as an elective course also for you all. If you want to float an elective, NLP is a very good subject, and the students do prefer studying NLP. The White book by Jurafsky and Martin is fascinating. So white is adjective, book is a noun. So this is the modifier. By Jurafsky and Martin is a prepositional phrase. And this complete is a noun phrase. So which is a noun phrase, which is a verb phrase, we'll have some problems to that. So what role is each word is playing needs to be understood. Semantic ambiguity. Semantic ambiguity is Seema loves her mother and Shreya does too. Shreya loves her mother or Shreya loves her mother. Car hit the pole while it was moving. So what was moving? The car was moving or the pole was moving? And it's easy for you to understand. For you to understand that non-living thing, so definitely car hit the pole while the car was moving. So ये जो it है वो किसके साथ लगेगा? This is more towards a discourse problem. But in this case, it is a common sense that since the pole is a it cannot move, so car has to move. So car hit the pole while it was moving. The soul died. In this case, of course, yes, the soul cannot be the shoe soul because it's a living thing. It cannot. It has to be a fish. So the soul died. The fish died. So what does it taste like? What taste does it like? Okay. दोनों में बहुत है. Syntax is correct. Syntax is absolutely correct, but semantics are different. What does it taste like? उसका टेस्ट कैसा है? What does it like? उसको कौन सा टेस्ट पसंद है कि नहीं? So here comes the context sensitive grammars. Again, the people who are from computer science will be able to appreciate this. अभी तक हम लोग context free grammars की बात कर रहे थे. तो syntactic analysis is done with CFGs, context free grammars and FSA. And here comes this context sensitive languages and push down automatas and so on. Okay? Context sensitive language. And here comes the discourse. Horse ran up the hill. It was very steep. Now it is actually obvious that which it we are talking about here. So अगर आप देखना पसंद करोगे इसको तो एक बार में समझ में आ जाएगा. It was very steep, so hill was steep. The horse ran because it got tired. But though it है, which it is corresponding noun. There are two nouns, horse and hill. Which pronoun is being used with which noun needs to be identified. Okay? इस केस में ये easy, एक living था, एक non-living था. But if both are living and we are talking about both, then there is a problem. Anaphoric ambiguity इसको बोलते हैं कि just to find out the pronouns is associated with which noun. And then we have the last but not the least, that is a pragmatic ambiguity. Now this pragmatic ambiguity पे तो कुछ भी काम नहीं हुआ है, कुछ भी काम नहीं हुआ, because this is very very tough to implement. Just go through this once, you will get an idea what I'm trying to say. Go through it once. So if you see tourists checking out of the hotel, waiter, go upstairs to my room and see if my sandals are there. Do not be late, I have to catch. उसने पूरी बात बताई. Getting late. Go up and check if the sandals are there. Waiter गया, उसने बोला हाँ sandals हैं वहाँ पर. और in fact you must have experienced this a many number of times with your kids. And say इतनी common sense नहीं है, इतनी अक्ल नहीं है. I say always तुम्हारी अक्ल कहाँ गई है? And he replies back घास चरने. Always हम उसको बोलते हैं तुम्हारी अक्ल कहाँ गई है? Reply करता है घास चरने. So it happens so many number of times you don't know at least this much common sense कि भाई वेटर जब ऊपर गया था तो सैंडल लेकर आए, खाली ये ना बोले कि वहां पर है. That I have to catch it when I'm getting late. ये सिस्टम को कैसे समझाएं? That the person is getting late and there are certain inferences that you need to take care of. That is what I was trying to keep. The current research work is going on this part. Even the recent paper of 2020 is inferences, how to find out the inferences or how to predict what is going to happen by the common sense. So the prediction was bring the sandals here. Inference was bring the sandal down. Don't just say that sandals are present. Okay? Like if you he rushed to the bank. Now in this case, this bank can be anything. It can be a financial bank or it can be a river bank. I don't know. But if I say John was hot and desperate for a dunk in the river, then definitely I'm talking about a bank. अगर इसके पहले मतलब the first sentence is he rushed to the bank. John was hot and desperate for a dunk in the river. ये अगर first sentence है और ये second sentence है या ये first sentence है और ये second sentence है, I'm damn sure that bank is a river bank. That is why temporal sequence is required कि पहले कौन सा sentence बोला गया. temporal sequence. Temporal sequence, at what time each sentence was said. This was the first sentence, or this was the first sentence, मतलब this was the first and this was the second, or whatever. तो इन दोनों में से हम उस पे डिसाइड करेंगे कि इसका मतलब क्या है. Okay, and if John suddenly realized he didn't have cash, he rushed to the bank. इस केस में क्या होगा? इस केस में क्या होगा? It is definitely a fact. So if the reference to context is known, I can identify that it is a river bank or it is a financial bank. So that is known as word sense disambiguation. Very important part of research and which corresponds to the pragmatic knowledge. ये चीज चाहिए for pragmatic knowledge in which you understand the meaning of the sentence. अब ये temporal वाला था जो मैं आपको पहला वाला था was basically the order of the reference to context, and this is the temporal. Max fell, John pushed him. Max fell, John pushed. अब जॉन ने किसको पुश किया है? ऑफ कोर्स मैक्स को पुश किया है. मैक्स कर दिया मतलब जॉन ने उसको मार दिया. So Max fell, John pushed him. Felling was before and then there was pushing. अगर इसको उल्टा कर दें, जॉन पुश्ड हिम, मैक्स फेल, जॉन ने उसको पुश किया, वो गिर गया. ठीक है, तो मीनिंग डिफरेंट हो जाएगी. एक केस में है कि मैक्स फेल, जॉन पुश्ड हिम, कि उसने उसको गिरा दिया, मार दिया. बट इस केस में जो पहले वाले और दूसरे वाले केस में जॉन पुश्ड हिम, मैक्स उसने उसको मारा. ठीक है, तो पुशिंग अकर्ड बिफोर द फॉलोइंग, और क्या हो सकता है मतलब उसका रीजन देखिए मैं आपको समझ. जॉन एंड मैक्स वर स्ट्रगलिंग एट द एज ऑफ द क्लिफ, मैक्स पुश्ड हिम. इसमें तो डेफिनेटली उसको मार दिया. और अगर हम उल्टा करते कि जॉन पुश्ड हिम, मैक्स फेल, ठीक है, उसने गलती से उसको गिरा दिया और वो गिर गया, जो भी मतलब. बट अगर हम पूरी चीज में देखेंगे तो डेफिनेटली इसमें जॉन बहुत गलत है. सो आई नीड टू फाइंड आउट द टेम्परल स्ट्रक्चर कि पहले कौन सा वर्ड सेंटेंस हुआ, फिर सेकंड कौन सा सेंटेंस हुआ, और उसकी हम आई कैन फाइंड आउट द मीनिंग ऑफ द करेक्ट मीनिंग ऑफ द कंप्लीट पैराग्राफ. There are a lot of terminologies which are used with NLP: phonology, morphology, morpheme, syntax, semantics, pragmatics, discourse, and world knowledge. Can you just please go through it once so that it is just a revision of what we have done till here? And then we will see some of the algorithms which are used. All this was more of theoretical part. This is the way how you're going to do it practically. Morphological analysis, syntactic analysis, you should have a lexicon for it, but the dictionary and a set of rules. If these two are there, then you would be able to find out whether the syntax is correct or not. Finding out the semantics, we need to have the semantic rules with us. This is a base. And for pragmatics, we need to have the context. How to prepare this contextual information is another research field. So these are the different areas on which you can work on. I'll be sharing the slides with Neha ma'am, and Neha ma'am will share it with the participants. Parsing involves all these things. Semantics involves this, and pragmatic involves reference resolution. This is what I was talking about. It, the pronoun part, of interpretation, study of structure discourse, word sense disambiguation, etc., etc. So these are the different research fields. Again, named entity recognition, themed topics, how to summarize the sentence, summarize the document. Intentions is what I was saying, that how to infer what I'm trying to intend to say. That needs to be derived from the sentence. What is my intention for this particular sentence to say? Okay. Tokenization, POS tagging. Tokenization is fairly simple, and we'll do it tomorrow. Tokenization. We will also do this translations tomorrow. in your hands-on sessions. So please be ready tomorrow with your laptops. You need not install anything. You need not download anything. We will do it on, and we will see that how the sentences can be tokenized, and we will also see that the stop words can be removed. What are the stop words? And these are all stop words, and these can be very well removed with commands of Python. So we'll see that all tomorrow. These are some of the most important algorithms which are used with natural language processing are RNN, LSTM, and GRU. We don't use convolution neural networks much with NLP because convolution neural networks are more towards the images part, the images and the videos. It is not. Doesn't give very good results with text. So if you really want to do some research paper implementation, then use LSTM or GRU or RNN. RNN faces one problem, that it doesn't have memory. It also faces a problem of this gradient descent. In the case of gradient descent optimization, vanishing gradient is a problem that we do have with RNN. The vanishing gradient problem there with STM. So LSTM is long short-term memory, and it has a memory. So in all the cases which we were talking about till here, except the morphological analysis, which is only a spelling correction, in lexical analysis, semantic analysis, and syntactic analysis, discourse and pragmatics, we need to understand the reference to context. So for understanding the reference, we need to store its past. Storing is done with the help of LSTM. So what are the unique words? What is the word that will go that is going to change the sense of the sentence? Yeah, how we are going to form the sense of the sentence? So we need memory. Okay. So long short-term memory is an artificial recurrent neural network. It is the same RNN architecture, but it is mainly having a memory for it. It doesn't need to understand only the single data point, but the previous one. And there is another very important model which is known as an n-gram model. N-gram model. N-gram model says whatever the word that is written, like suppose this word, I need to take care of the previous two words and the next two words. These are bigram model. First, the trigram model. If I am just considering the previous word, it is a bigram model. If you are considering the previous two words, it is known as a trigram model. So n-gram model, I am considering the previous n words and the. So n-gram model is used a lot in understanding, and this can be implemented with the help of LSTM. There is another very nice algorithm which is BERT. This is a bidirectional transformer, and this also takes care. This also works on the principle of n-gram model. That is, it is taking the previous n words and the coming n words. Then only you can identify the context. Okay, and LSTM units include a memory cell that I was talking and maintain the information in memory. And RNN has a problem of vanishing gradient. And LSTM also controls the flow and mix inputs. Now, what happens is, like suppose I am talking reference to context in this, some of the words will try to change the sense of the sentence, and some of the words are useless. So LSTM can give different weights to the different words. So those words which are going to change the context, or those words which are going to change the sense, can be given maximum weights. Okay, and this can be done manually, or it can model it. The model can also do it, and you can do it manually also by changing the weights of the bigram model or a trigram model and so on. Okay. And there is another GRU. There is another one which is GRU, that is a gated recurrent unit, in which it is very much similar to LSTM, but it is faster than LSTM because it reduces one of the gates. I know that you have already gone through the machine learning part, and probably you must have already gone through these architectures also, LSTM, RNN, and GRU. If not, LSTM is the same as RNN, and it involves memory to it. And GRU is the same as LSTM, but it has only one less. It doesn't have the forget gate, as far as I remember. So one of the gates is less. So that is why GRU is faster than LSTM. But results wise, if you're talking about the results which are there in the different research papers, LSTM gives better results. Okay, it always gives better results than GRU because it has that many number of gates and it takes a longer time. GRU takes less time. So if time complexity is considered, GRU is better. If efficiency and accuracy is considered, LSTM is better. RNN is not generally considered for text analysis, speech to text or text to speech. We generally go LSTM. And already talked about different research problems in NLP. You can go for any of these research problems, and the most important one is intentions, which on which the people are working right now. And none of the robots superpowers are incomplete without with NLP. Syntactic analysis. Now, again, as I'm stressing, very less work has been done on the regional languages. Are really belonging to the Malayalam or the Telugu belt or the Odia belt, then go ahead and take an LP as a research field, and you can work upon that. Tomorrow we will be talking about the very basic things that we can do with, and probably I'll try, if the time permits, that I'll take a data set, a Twitter data set, and try to find out whether this data set is fake or not. Let's see if we are able to do it tomorrow. But definitely we will start from the very beginning, and we will do the tokenization part, removal of the stop words, and we'll also do the machine translation for sure. Any doubts, any questions still here?
Participants, if you have any query, then you can ask. Ma'am, I hope till now there's no any query.
Okay. If you want, you can unmute your mic and speak.
Ma'am, there is a query. Any standard inference engine for NLP?
No, I didn't get the question. What is the standard?
Inference engine
Inference.
for NLP. Yes, ma'am. It's inference engine.
Acha, inference engine.
Yes.
No, we have to find out at inference. That is the main thing that we need to do. That is what I was stressing about this talk, is that is we have to come up with that inference. If you're using an inference engine, then what is the point in having the research there? So you have to infer the context, for the intention. Okay, so you have to basically find out the context in which the sentence is spoken, the reference to context, and then accordingly go for word sense disambiguation, or you go for pragmatic analysis and so on.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Any other query?
Ma'am, have the participants gone through RNN and LSTM earlier?
No, ma'am. I don't think so.
Because that is what I was just looking into, get some thing on RNN and LSTM.
Ma'am, there is one more query. Which platform is better for NLP? Is it like MATLAB or Python? And why?
Python at any point of time. Because Python has a toolkit which is known as Natural Language Toolkit. We will be using that toolkit tomorrow in the hands-on session. And this Natural Language Toolkit has so many functions which you can directly use onto the text and then come up with the tokenizations or machine translations, which MATLAB doesn't have. So for NLP, basically you can for Python, but for you can use MATLAB as well, but not for NLP.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So, ma'am, like, is it over for today?
Yeah, I was just give me 2 minutes. I was just looking for
Yes.
RNN and LST. They have not gone through that. I just wanted to show them. But probably because I was under the impression that they have already gone through that part. Have they gone through ANN, artificial neural networks?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that is done. Anyways, any other that need to be answered, and probably we are meeting tomorrow also in the morning. So any questions that you have can be discussed at that point also. I am putting my email ID here. So at any point of time, if you want to discuss any research problem or you have any doubts or questions regarding anything, if you want to have a data set also, you can just shoot a mail to me. Data sets can be availed at this website. This is a quite useful website, kaggle.com.
Kaggle.
It contains a lot of data sets. So you may have NLP data sets also from there. Many data sets are there. So if you want to discuss anything, please shoot a mail to me and I would be happy to help you out with that. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, Sushila, ma'am.
Okay. Thanks a lot, ma'am, for this very informative session, and I hope this will definitely help all the participants who want to do research. Thanks again, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sushila, ma'am. Thank you,
Okay,
Pankaj, sir.
madam. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.